Hey, what's up, you guys? Hope you're doing fantastic. No, recently had a conversation with someone and was mentioning to them about the difference between the being prophetic and the office of the prophet, and that they're two different things. And one of the purposes of the prophet is through God's eternal grace that has been imparted to the prophetic, to the prophet and the office they hold, is to make sure that we're always hearing in order to impart the wisdom, the discernment, the direction, to make known the manifold wisdom of God to principalities and powers. And that is done through the apostles and prophets as the foundation of the church. Now, what many people would like to believe is that the foundation of the church has already been laid. But here's where we come into an issue. God is progressive, not progressive in the political sense, but you can see that he has always given progressive revelation. So you can also see that the church has needed to be able to make discerning decisions throughout time to be able to influence culture rather than be influenced by culture. Yet when the church decided that they no longer needed to hear from the apostle and prophet, and when you saw that those two gifts begin to fade from the church, now you begin to see the church primarily being influenced by culture. So when you go into the book of Ephesians and you see that Paul is saying that the church did not have the information that it had to be the church except for the apostles and prophets, Ephesians chapter 2. Now going down in Ephesians chapter 3, and again he says, until these things were revealed to his holy apostles and prophets. They're being revealed. And it's a present tense, being revealed at this time. So the office of the prophet has a mandate from heaven to be able to help the church to be able to hear from God on the direction that we're intended to move, the foundations that need to be laid or restored, and the purpose and calling given to a specific group of people in a specific region and territory. Because each person and each people group has their own identity that they're supposed to bring forth from who they are, from the Creator, from Yahweh, from Abba. They bring forth who they are, and it causes the earth to flourish because of their identity in Christ. God has placed them in their boundaries. He's put them in that place so that they actually will bring forth from within who they are the manifestation of a son and a daughter of God so that the earth can flourish. And without that understanding, what ends up happening is one church, when they have something popular happen, then another church says, hey, let's go do that because that's working. No, that may be working simply because it's their identity coming out. And then when you go to try to mimic it, and it doesn't mean that we can't take principles and things that are happening and we see God moving through them, doesn't mean that we can't go do some of those things. But if we try to shift, see, if you're over in Africa and you try to do the American church, if you're in Ireland and you try to do the American church, that's not your identity. If you're in Taiwan, if you're in Japan, if you're in all of these areas and you try to do, no, that don't work. There's some principles, there's some things you can apply, but there's nothing like the sound of someone's own personal identity. There's nothing like the sound of a Scottish bagpipe when played well. That doesn't come from America. That comes from them. And so on and so forth, how it goes. So the office of the prophet is very significant. It's been tainted here, in these times. Why? Because God is progressively revealing who these people are and what their call is, their mission, their mandate in the earth for the church. Will we see mess? Yeah, we see messes with pastors. Nobody's saying the pastors don't exist. We see messes with evangelists. Nobody's saying we should stop doing evangelism. No, why? Because we don't have understanding. I encourage you to read Ephesians 3, 2 and 3, and see that Paul is literally saying, without the apostles and prophets revealing the structure of the church, the foundation of the church, what needs to happen with the church in this region, then the principalities and powers actually get to rule, because our job is to make known the manifold wisdom of God to principalities and powers, and it requires the revelatory gifting of these people. Be blessed, man.